Greetings, friends. I'm AK.
And I'm Laura.
And we are
The Chainsaw Girls. On today's episode, dude, I am so pumped that we are covering this movie.
Me too.
We are covering 1992's Buffy the motherfucking Vampire Slayer. Already dropping F-bombs.
I'm so pumped. So we've talked about a little bit before on the podcast. A lot of people already know you are obsessed with Buffy. More so the series, I would say, right?
Yeah, but it definitely started with the movie.
Yes. So I have actually never watched the Buffy series, which I know really hurts you, pains you every time I mention it. I'm totally down to watch it.
You would love it.
We should, and we should do like little bonus episodes about it or something.
Dude, I would. I just restarted it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a comfort show.
It's a perfect timing then. I should start it.
You should.
But I did watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie when it came out, and I was obsessed. I was obsessed with Kristy Swanson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, honestly, I look back on this and I'm like, wow, kids are dumb, because I was obsessed with her just because she was pretty.
I mean, she was really pretty. And
Yeah.
also, like, you were at the age, too, where she was probably not just pretty, she was, like, cool.
That's true. That is very true. And she
Right?
was killing vampires and doing flips and stuff. It wasn't just that she was pretty. I take that back.
No, I think it was, like, a combination of everything.
That is what I remember as a kid, though, of just being, like, in awe of her. Like, really just in awe of her beauty and her strength and her skills. And so it really was a combination, I think. You're right.
Yes.
I wasn't just a vapid child.
You weren't. I promise. I mean, all a little, as kids, right? It's like, that makes sense to me that your memory would be like, oh, it's because I liked her because she was pretty. When, as you're a kid, you can't explain complex feelings and emotions as well, right?
Very
You can't
true.
articulate that. So I was also obsessed. I actually credit Buffy the Vampire Slayer for becoming a professional wrestler. I think seeing a girl, I rented it almost every weekend. There were like a handful of movies that I'd make my dad rent. Monster Squad was one of them, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I would watch it over and over. I would rewind the montage where she's like kicking ass and training.
Oh, yeah.
Over and over and over. And it was like kind of like the first time that I really saw a woman, and not just a woman, she was a young, like, teenager.
Yeah.
Kicking ass. Like, she was the superhero. She was the one that had to save the world.
Yeah.
And I'd never experienced that as a kid. I'd never seen that as a kid.
Yeah, that's a good point. You probably weren't watching wrestling yet, I imagine.
No, I was, but wrestling
Just kidding.
but women's wrestling wasn't featured as heavily back in the early 90s.
In the early 90s, yeah.
No, right? So I saw mostly managers. So Buffy was like, oh my God, girls can do this. Like, girls can kick ass. And I really think that planted the seed in my head of like girl power and like, you know, believing in yourself and all that shit.
Hell yeah.
Oh my God. Love Buffy. Love her.
Also, when we were kids, someone in high school does look like an adult to us. So I would say woman.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Remember, like, in junior high, a senior in high school, like grade 12, would look like a grown-ass man.
I mean, I thought when I was in grade 2, the grade 5 kids looked like adults to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's so true.
Would you like me to read the IMDb?
Please.
Okay. Flighty teenage girl Buffy Summers learns that she is her generation's destined battler of vampires.
They call it a battler, not a slayer. Interesting.
Listen, I don't know who makes the IMDb descriptions, but sometimes, you guys, it's a choice. It's a choice. Yeah, she's a battler of vampires.
Like, maybe they didn't want to reuse a word in the title.
Maybe.
They felt like the same way you can't reuse a word in the definition of a word. They felt like they had to change it.
They had to like change it. So they also, instead of writing that, they wrote the. So I had to kind of, anyway. It had a budget of $7 million. But it grossed $16.6 million.
Hell yeah.
So it did well.
Yeah.
It was directed by Fran Rubel Kazooie. Gosh darn it. I hope I'm saying that right. I think I am. But if I'm not, correct me. And it was written by Joss Whedon, who also wrote and created the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show.
Okay.
The spinoff Angel, Dollhouse. He wrote The Avengers. He's written a whole bunch of stuff.
Did you see the light bulb just go off in my head when you said Angel? I do remember that show vaguely. I didn't know they were connected. Well, I didn't watch either of them, to be fair, but I remember seeing like the commercials.
Do you know Angel was my very first crush when I was like, it was like that's when I discovered that like I liked boys.
Okay.
I saw Angel for the first time. I think I was like maybe 9 or 10.
Does he have white hair?
No, that's Spike.
Okay, that's who I'm thinking of. I do remember that name.
Spike, yeah.
Okay.
Spike's a smoke show too. I met him and I barely could speak because I was just mesmerized. But Angel, man. Can I also tell you, when I was little, I made a VHS movie with my cousin and I was playing Angel.
Okay.
I think I was like 9 or 10. And I wasn't wearing a shirt. I was just wearing like a jacket.
Oh.
And my mom came in and she's like, "What are you guys doing? Why are you wearing a shirt?" And I was like, "Well, I'm Angel and I don't have boobs, so it works." And she was like, "What the fuck?"
You're wearing like an open
Yeah, like an open
a button up.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Oh shit.
Wait,
that's
who got to
funny.
play Buffy?
I think my cousin was playing Buffy.
Mm.
Or she might have been playing a vampire. I don't think we were really going by the actual like lore of
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I just really liked Angel and I was like,
Okay.
I'm gonna be him.
I'm surprised you didn't want to be Buffy.
I'm surprised also. I don't know, I guess because I didn't have boobs. I thought I would be a better
I can't
Angel.
be Buffy. I don't have
I
boobs.
don't have boobs yet.
Did you ever have to fight with your siblings or friends or neighbors, whatever, over which character you were gonna play?
Oh yeah, especially my friends. Yeah.
So that's why I was wondering if you were forced to play Angel, because I specifically remember this girl we used to play with down the street. One of my best friends growing up, we would play Aladdin, and she demanded to be Jasmine. So I had to be Aladdin.
Were you the carpet?
No, I was gonna say I didn't even have it the worst because I got to be Aladdin, but I would say she, but I'll take some of the blame. We made the other neighbor girl be Raja.
The tiger? Yeah. Who was that? Who was the monkey?
I don't think anyone was the monkey. I don't think we had enough
Damn.
people.
I love it.
But if we had a whole crew, we would have absolutely made someone the lamp, someone the carpet.
Oh shit, man, that is so funny. I guess like as kids we do weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, to answer your question, I pretended to be Buffy all the time.
Of course.
I still have daydreams that I'm Buffy, to
You
be
still
honest.
kind of pretend to be Buffy.
I do,
I mean,
honestly.
you're in wrestling, right?
Honestly, I really do. Okay. So this movie is starring Kristy Swanson. She is our Buffy Summers.
Yes.
Donald Sutherland is Merrick. He is the Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Reubens as Amelin.
I love Paul Reubens in this movie.
Amlin? Maybe it's Amelin.
I think it's Amelin.
Amelin. I love him. He's incredible. He improv'd a lot. Rutger Hauer as Lothos, who I think is phenomenal.
Yes.
We also have Hilary Swank as Kimberly. This is her debut film. She had done some TV, but this was her first film.
Oh, that's cool.
And one of our favorites ever, David Arquette as Benny.
Benny. There are also a bunch of fun cameos in this movie that I'm sure we will get to as we tell this story.
Hell yes.
I was also surprised that the Buffy series didn't come out until 1997.
Yeah, it was quite a few years, 7 years later, I think. Yeah.
That was really interesting. I wasn't sure which one had come out first when I was researching this.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, the original Buffy came out in 1990. What did I say? 1992?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, Joss Whedon, who wrote it, was really unhappy with the direction of the film, that he walked off set like halfway through filming and never came back.
Okay.
So he had a very distinct idea of what he wanted for Buffy, and the movie was not cutting it for him.
Oh.
So he ended up coming out with a comic book called The Origin that followed exactly how he wanted Buffy to be presented as.
Did he want it to be darker or something?
Yeah, I think he wanted it a little more serious,
Okay.
probably more in vein with the show. And the original show, like the first season, is a little campy. Like I will say the first season is campy, but there are real moments throughout the first season too.
Okay.
And then some of the background, the lore in the show matches up with that comic, The Origin.
Okay.
Yeah. So just a little background on the actual filming of
Yeah.
the original Buffy and how that kind of eventually led into the TV show.
Cool.
Yeah. Do you want to hop right into it?
Sure do.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we open this movie by telling the Vampire Slayer lore, really. We are kind of like in an olden day. And we have the actors that we're about to meet. So Kristy Swanson, we don't know who she is yet, but it looks like she's back in like, I don't even know
Yeah, like the Middle
what.
Ages?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the long story short here is that she bears a birthmark. The Slayer will bear a birthmark.
Yeah, big ass hairy mole. That's how she describes it.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what I wrote down. Those are my notes for this scene. Is like, okay, we got here that the Vampire Slayer is going to bear a birthmark. Is there anything
Yes.
else you want to add before we cut to Present day?
Just that it seems as though she's the original Slayer and Watcher.
Right.
That's what the flashback is, which we'll find out later. But yes, essentially, she is the OG.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So then we cut to, she's a cheerleader in the present day.
Keep it coming, keep it coming.
Yeah, they start off hot.
That is a long introduction to her as a cheerleader.
They're doing like a full routine.
It is a long, that's the one thing about acting that I just love is like, I can't wait to star in something where I can learn choreography.
Oh my gosh,
Just
I'm so down.
Wouldn't that be so fun?
I used to plan so many routines with my friend to the Spice Girls to like perform in front of their parents.
Oh my God, me too.
Oh my gosh.
It was the
Also,
best.
did I ever tell you I was a majorette?
What is that?
A majorette is like kind of like a cheerleader, except you use a baton.
Whoa.
And we were just like twirling that baton.
Holy shit,
and like
dude.
one of the first this whole opening scene kind of reminded me of that because it's early 90s. And
Yeah.
one of the first songs, this was like 5th grade for me that I was a majorette. And one of the first songs we did a routine to was Space Jam.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
great choice.
We were getting down.
I love that. I auditioned to be a cheerleader and I did not make the cut.
Aw.
So that was sad.
I never auditioned for that.
No, you just walked in and you went, I'm part of the team.
Well, no, it's not. It was separate. This was 5th grade, so we didn't even have cheerleaders. It was just like a separate little dance thing.
Yeah.
But in high school, I was like, I'm just going to play volleyball instead.
Oh, I love that you played sports. That's great. So the whole dance sequence is quite long.
Yeah.
And I feel like learning that choreography probably took a minute. But apparently, Kristy Swanson had done dance before.
Okay.
So not only learning that choreography was not easy for her, but easier. And learning all of her stunts was also somewhat easy for her, came easier to her because of her background with dance.
That's awesome. So she did the majority of her stunts?
She did, except for like the flipping
Okay.
and the motorcycle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. She did do that flying kick. She said she really wanted to learn it. So she did. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know. I think it's pretty badass.
I love when they really get into their roles like that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
So the mascot is a very strange looking pig. And I don't know about you, but I felt like that mascot like did not fit in with like anything else.
I did not even notice the mascot.
It looked like you know what he looked like? Do you know the episode of The Simpsons when Lisa has to present herself as Florida and Marge is busy gambling, so Homer has to like make her costume? I'll put it on Instagram. That is what the pig reminded me of. Just like a half-ass, weird, out of place mascot.
Yeah, I want to see a picture of it now.
Yep.
So we see that she's a cheerleader. We see her friend group, all that. And then we cut to the mall. And
oh, wait, before we do, there's 2 more things I need to point out. Okay. One, did you notice the coach?
No.
Okay, the coach looks like he's got like slick back black hair. He looks like he just walked off Wall Street and decided to be like a high school coach.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's giving them like a pep talk and he's like, remember, I am a person and I have a right to the ball.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, I just thought it was so funny because it does throughout the film. It keeps cutting to him giving these like motivational talks and he just looks so out of place. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I wrote something down about him later. I don't remember what it is, but we'll get there.
Yes, and you're right. We do cut to the mall. We're in California, and it is during the light ages is what shows up on the screen.
The light ages.
Yes.
There's a lot that I didn't catch apparently.
Because in the beginning we were in the dark ages, and now we're in the light ages.
Right.
Yes.
We learned pretty quickly that Kristy and her friends are pretty vapid.
Absolutely. They're like Valley girls, right? Is that what you would call them?
Yeah, Valley girls. This felt like Clueless before Clueless. Clueless didn't come out for another few years, I think. But very similar vibes.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, what? They're like throwing out all this lingo. It didn't catch on quite like Clueless did. Like, whatever, as if, but it was like along those same lines.
For sure, yeah. And they're like hanging out and at the mall, whatever, they're shopping. Always a good time. I fucking love a good mall shop with my girlfriends. It's the best.
Back in the day, it used to be fun, even though I had no money to spend, but I love walking around.
Oh yeah, no, I mean now, like the last time I did that was in Vegas. It was like me, Taya, Lish, and we went shopping. It was a good time.
It makes me sad that a lot of malls are dying.
I know. I love going to the mall.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a vibe.
So Buffy sees this bomb ass like yellow leather jacket and she calls it lush. It's so lush, which great word. I don't even know what that means, but okay. And it's like hot yellow, like bright ass yellow.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it. I was like, hell yes, girl. And Hilary Swank's character, Kimberly, is like, that is so last month. Nah. And like, she's a total bitch about it.
Yeah.
And Buffy's like, feels stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I think she says, that was so 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, fashion can be whatever the fuck you want it to be.
And it's always going to cycle.
Always.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of annoying.
And that does come back.
It does come back.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
But she also said, like, Kristy isn't completely, it's not like Kristy is the kind,
No.
innocent one in this situation either. They're all kind of like
Shitty.
dumb.
Yeah.
And shitty.
They're all kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I think you covered it with vapid.
Yeah, dumb and shitty. Oh yeah, vapid. But seriously, like even Kristy here, she's like, excuse me if I don't know about El Salvador. Like I'm ever going to Spain. Like those are 2 different countries and 2 different regions.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't know geography.
Yeah.
Fun fact, my first flight ever was to El Salvador.
Oh.
Isn't that random?
I love that.
But yes, a man approaches them. He stops the elevator before the elevator door shuts. That's Merrick we're going to be introduced to.
Yes.
And she says, excuse much, rude or anything? So stuff like that.
And then also one of them says, what a homeless.
I didn't catch that part.
Like, oh my God.
What a homeless. And I wrote, she's actually the rude one.
Oh yeah.
In this, yeah.
For sure. So they all decide to go to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, let's go to the movies, which is like, yeah, that's exactly what you did in high school. You went to the movies.
And they're talking.
They are so obnoxious. They're all like eating snacks and they're talking to each other and they're just being super annoying. And we're introduced to 2 new characters. We're introduced to Pike and Benny, and they're sitting right behind the girls. And they start kicking the girls' chairs to basically tell them to shut the fuck up.
Yes.
And Benny's like complaining. He's like, oh, I spent a lot of money on these tickets. And Pike turns, looks at him, and he's like, dude, we snuck in here.
And Pike is played by Luke Perry. Benny is played by David Arquette.
Yes.
And they are telling them to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they're just being very obnoxious.
And of course, they're like, no, we don't have to.
Yep. Exactly.
Dude, I will rage. I cannot stand the sound of somebody even whispering when I'm at the movies.
No, it makes me so mad. People pull their phones. That's why I don't usually go. I go in the middle of the day.
I was just about to say, you have to go to a matinee.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of theaters have like cheaper tickets on certain days, like Tuesdays.
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday matinee for like $6.
I'll go by myself. It's why not? In the middle of the day?
I cannot go on the weekend, even during the day. And I cannot go at night at any time.
No, it's awful.
No.
Totally horrible.
I straight up had to yell at someone like, I don't know, maybe less than a year ago.
Because it's expensive. Like, that's the thing. Like, you're spending money on it.
Yes, they're expensive, but also most of the time I'm going to see a horror movie, and horror movies are known for being very quiet for a lot of the time because, they're quiet and then they're loud. And then, so it's not like you're going to see a comedy that's just loud the whole time or an action movie where it's just like guns a-blazing,
Yeah.
So there are so many moments of silence and you can hear everything in the theater. And so people they want to go see like a silly PG-13 horror or whatever because they want to sit in the back and make out.
Right.
I straight up had to yell at someone recently. Well, this is like, I don't know, within the past year or 2, because all I could hear was them like making out and giggling.
Oh, no.
And that sound,
oh,
straight up, I had to turn around and be like, are y'all fucking for real? I didn't say that. I'm trying to remember what I said exactly. I
can
think
you
I was
stop
just
kissing so fucking loud?
I went, could y'all be quiet, please? Something like that. And they did.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
risky though.
At least they did. Well, sometimes people lose their shit. I've seen people do that, and then the people that are being loud absolutely lose it.
Oh, my local theater, their security that actually are armed because people pull out guns at the theater.
No, I
So
agree.
it is risky. I don't recommend yelling at anyone.
No.
Whatever. I'm sidetracking here.
No,
but
it's fine.
I just had to throw that out there as well. Don't talk at the movies.
Don't do it. So after the movies, the girls are leaving, and a car full of jocks pulls up. Do you remember their names?
I know that one is Grueller.
Yeah, one's Grueller, Grueller, and one is her boyfriend. I think his name is Jeffrey, and I believe there's another one named Andy. I think those are their names. So they pull up, and right away, like Buffy strolls over to them, and she leans over and she starts making out with the driver, Jeffrey, and Andy is just being an absolute creep, like gross. But I think the point of the scene is that Pike sees this.
Yes.
And there's like a look of like, I don't know what you say, like kind of disgust / disappointment.
I agree with that.
Right? Like,
yeah.
And also like we're introduced to Grueller, which plays in a little bit later.
Yes. I think whoever was in the passenger seat, whoever her boyfriend's friend was, Andy,
yeah,
he said something like, can I borrow her?
I know.
Ugh.
So gross. Imagine, and the fact that Jeffrey stayed friends with this guy.
And he's going to get worse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
He's disgusting. So Grueller ends up like walking home. Like I don't know why, but he gets out of the car and he's like, bye guys, I'm gonna walk.
Yeah.
And he's walking alone, and it actually, wherever he walks, it looks like an amusement park.
Like a
There's
boardwalk.
yeah, boardwalk, yeah. And
Mhm.
there's like a big carousel. And he starts like hearing things and he feels like somebody's following him. And he's like, whoever's behind me, like whatever, you know?
Yes, and we are introduced to Amelin, who
Yes.
we mentioned earlier is Paul Reubens' character.
How badass does he look coming around on that
Oh
carousel?
my gosh. Just in case you haven't seen this or you don't know what he looks like, he does not look like Pee Wee Herman here, just to be clear.
Mm-mm.
He looks very different, very nefarious, and we don't know what happens quite yet.
Right, exactly. So we're back at Buffy's house
Mm-hmm.
and there's a news report on.
Mm-hmm.
And the news reporter is talking about how there are bodies are adding up. The latest one had neck wounds, and he says someone was quoted as saying it looked like a really gross hickey.
Yeah.
And he also says that there's bodies disappearing from the morgue, or a body disappeared from the morgue and it was drained of its blood.
Mm-hmm.
And Buffy's parents are like going away for the night. And I feel like in this scene, you kind of get the sense that she has kind of like absent parents.
Yes, we only see her mom for a second, and she's not really paying too much attention to Buffy.
No, it seems more like she just wants to go out.
Yeah.
So, and her boyfriend's with her. I think Jeffrey comes over and they, they're hanging out and they sort of like watch a movie or something.
Yeah. So we cut back to the olden times. Really, Kristy is having a nightmare where she is this slayer back in the day. She's not blonde here. She's a brunette. And we just see this vision that we learn is a nightmare.
Yeah, and we also see Amelin and Lothos
Yes.
in her dream.
Oh, that's part of the dream?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I don't even know if I realized that. We do see Amelin's talking to someone in like a crypt or a casket or something.
Yeah, so that's the next scene.
Oh, okay.
They're not the same. Like, that's not the dream.
Got it.
That's like, so she has this dream. She sees Lothos. She sees Amelin. Lothos has a knife to her throat, but she wakes up from the nightmare and she like kind of cuddles her little teddy bear. And now we cut to
Right.
Amelin.
Amelin talking to someone in a crypt or a casket. We see a gloved hand rise, and then Amelin kisses it and says, soon.
Okay, also, didn't that look like a stage? Like, it
Yeah.
looked like a theater stage. I thought it looked really cool. Like,
That's-
it was like well lit and stuff, but it reminded me of like theater.
That's where I thought they were the whole time. Like, I thought they were actually, I don't know, but
I don't know either.
But I thought,
like, you thought it was intentional.
yeah, like I thought that they were hiding out in this abandoned theater or whatever, like somewhere in the amusement park. I don't know.
Maybe they were. I don't know. But well, every time it cut to that, I was like, this looks like a theater.
That's exactly what I pictured. Yeah. So now we cut to the girls. They're going to what I assume is a bar, or like maybe it must be a restaurant or something, but I think they were serving alcohol. And they're planning the senior dance.
Yes, they are. They're talking about, I don't know. I thought it was so funny. Their conversation about the senior dance. I guess it's like, it's supposed to be like bring social awareness to
Right.
like issues. And they decide to go with the environment.
Yeah.
And at one point, Buffy's like, ozone layer, maybe we should just get rid of it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's just so like, girls, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're at this pool hall, and Kimberly is wearing that yellow jacket.
Yeah. And Buffy's like, I thought that was so 5 minutes ago. But apparently she was like, oh, it's actually cute, low key. So I'm going to tell her that it's ugly and then I'm going to go get it because I want it.
And then her other friend, I forget the girl's name, but maybe it's Jenny. She just parrots everything Kimberly says.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stand that shit.
Yeah.
Like, have your own opinion.
Yeah.
I hate that. So Pike and Benny walk in and they sit at the bar, and a waiter comes over, and Benny drops a ton of like change, a cough drop, and some other shit
Yeah.
on her tray. And he's like, what can this get me? And she's like, 2 coffees or a hot dog.
Which is surprising it would even get you that.
I know.
Imagine.
I know.
Side note, that waitress is Ricki Lake, the 90s TV show
Wow.
host.
I didn't know that.
She is the 90s TV show. Well, it was Ricki Lake. It was called Ricki Lake.
Dude, I had no idea. That's awesome.
Yeah, immediately when I saw her, I'm like, wait a minute. I know
Wow.
that face.
Shit. Good call, man. I
Yeah.
did not get that. Pike and Benny are also hammered.
Yes, and the girls do notice them come in and they're like, ew, they're just disgusted by them. Like they look at them as losers.
Yes. And Pike starts talking. Well, I think Benny's kind of talking to them, and Pike starts talking to them, and Pike asks Buffy what her name is.
Mm-hmm.
Buffy introduces herself. And when Pike introduces himself, she's like, that isn't a name, that's a fish.
Which I'm kind of surprised she even knew that.
I know, right? Exactly. I mean, like, your name is Buffy. I don't
Yeah.
really think you have room to make fun of Pike.
I was literally thinking about that last night. You don't hear about anyone named Buffy anymore.
No, and it's a great name. I
It is-
love the name Buffy.
It is a great name. I don't know if it's short for anything.
I don't know either.
Buffington?
But
I don't know.
so the guys realize that it's the girls from the movies. And they're like, ew, we know you. You're
Yeah.
pieces of shit. And then Benny walks over and he pretends that his hot dog is a dick. And Buffy grabs a butter knife and she like slices it like right down the middle.
Yeah,
It's pretty aggressive and honestly so badass.
it's a vibe.
I loved it.
I want to do that.
I was like,
But
yes, girl.
to someone's real dick. I'm just kidding. For legal purposes.
No, but same.
So then we see Pike and Benny outside on a ledge. They've been drinking out of a flask. They're
Yes,
underage.
They're like stumbling around. They're hammered.
Yeah, they're hammered
Mhm.
and maybe a little high too. I don't know. There are a
Mhm.
lot of things.
Mhm.
So they're sitting on this ledge. Pike ends up passing out on the ground at one point, like he's that drunk.
Yep.
Amelin pops up from over the edge of this cliff that they're essentially sitting on because they had shown Benny look down. So we know that there's no like ledge over that cliff. It's just a cliff.
And like this is California, so I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amelin pops up from over the cliff, grabs Benny, bites him, and takes him over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Merrick show up and like drag Pike away.
Yeah, like Merrick's like, yeah, you really shouldn't be here. And he just like
Yeah.
pulls him away.
He says something like, this isn't a safe place to fall asleep. But it happened so quickly that I was like, wait, did you not see what just happened to Benny?
Well, no, because Pike is so hammered that I think like he just didn't even. And I honestly feel like also if Merrick did see that, like Merrick's,
That's what I meant. Did Merrick see it?
he might have. And like, you know, at that point, like, what is he going to do?
True.
Right? Like the
yeah.
guy's gone.
Yeah. And he knows what's up. It's not like he would be like, oh my gosh, a vampire. Like he
No.
knows that they exist.
Exactly. Yep.
So then we cut to Buffy practicing in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing her routine. You know, she got to get it down. Wasn't to Space Jam, but it's okay. And then Merrick pops up, which I was like, sir.
I know.
You were in a high school gymnasium in your fucking trench coat and whatever
And his
kind of
little
hat that
hat.
is. His
It's
little hat.
like fedora.
Yeah, is it a fedora? I don't know the different genres of hats.
I don't either, to be honest. I'm just calling it that. I have no idea. But can I just say, when I saw this scene when I was a little kid, like it changed my brain chemistry.
Really?
Like watching Buffy do all these like backflips and shit, like I wanted to be her so bad.
Oh, when they go to the training montage?
No, just this scene where she's
Oh.
just doing like these casual backflips and like
Okay.
and Merrick comes and like, you know, tells her the whole deal. Like that, like it changed my brain chemistry. Like I was like, I want to live this life.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she's practicing in the gym. He pops up and he's like basically saying, okay, I was sure that it was you, but now I'm like certain.
Yeah, and he's like, you know, you're years behind training, but like, you know, we'll work with what we got.
Yeah. He tells her, I brought you your birthright, which
Mhm.
he's like, beg your pardon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I wrote, how did this man in a hat and trench coat get in this school? But it was the early 90s.
exactly. It was the early 90s. Exactly. It's funny. Some of her lines here are so funny. Like she says to him, like, what's your damage?
Oh, it's so early 90s. I love it.
I love it so much. She also says, does Elvis talk to you? Does he tell you to do things?
Yeah.
Do you see spots?
Yeah, because he does seem insane. He tells her that she's the chosen one and that
Mhm.
she needs to come with him to a graveyard, which
Yes.
she rightfully says absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going there with you. And he points out the mole, and she's like, I got that thing removed.
Yeah, she's like, ew, that big old hairy mole.
Yeah, exactly. But then he does also mention the nightmares. And this is what kind of changes her mind. She's like, I never told anybody about those nightmares, which it kind of catches her off guard.
Yeah. At first, she's like, everyone has nightmares, but then he gets more specific and she's like, okay, maybe I will go with you to this cemetery.
Yeah, she does think about it. And I also want to say, as a person that watched the TV show and loved the TV show, you can see Buffy's, like, she's very witty in the show. Like, she's got lots of puns. Even when she's fighting the vampires, she's constantly, like, being sarcastic and,
Okay.
like, saying little quips and shit. And you can really see that influence in this one as well.
Hell yeah.
Because she does. She's Buffy, and even in this one, she's witty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's sassy.
She's very sassy. Yeah.
To be honest, I would not have gone with him to a cemetery at night, but, you know, neither here nor there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either, for
And
sure.
Buffy does.
Yeah, she does, yeah.
So when they get to the cemetery, Merrick hands her a stake and a crucifix.
And I also want to say, when they're walking the cemetery, one thing I really loved about the scene is she's wearing like hot pink tights. Like she looks super bubbly and super bright and the background is like this dark, creepy cemetery. And I just loved that visual.
The contrast.
Yeah, very cool.
Buffy also mentions that she's having cramps, which will come into play.
Yep, she thinks that she's getting her period.
So they're going to this cemetery because they're waiting for Robert Berman, which is someone who had died 3 days ago by what I guess the reports were saying was, quote unquote, extensive tissue damage to the neck.
Right, exactly.
Which Merrick knows is probably a vampire.
Exactly. And Buffy's like sitting there and she's like picking at her nails and she's like, do you have any gum?
Yeah.
I just love it. She's irritating the shit out of Merrick.
Yeah. He's like, I'm trying to teach you how to be a fucking slayer. Can you please?
And she's like, whatever.
Yeah, so he knows that this guy probably got bit by a vampire and is going to rise from his grave, which he does. Surely enough, starts rising. Merrick starts fighting him. Then another person rises from their grave. So I guess they were bit too.
Which is right under Buffy.
Yeah,
like
grabs
it's right,
Buffy.
grabs Buffy. Yeah.
Starts attacking her. Buffy ends up taking them both out with the stake. So clearly this is coming natural to her.
Yeah.
After that scene, we cut to Pike sleeping in his room at night.
Yeah, and here's like banging on the window.
Banging on the window. Mind you, he lives on at least the second story. It's definitely not the first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we see Benny outside his window. Like, hey, buddy. No one knows where he had been for days.
Yeah, this was very Salem's Lot. I loved it. It was definitely a homage to Salem's Lot, I would say.
I could totally see that. So Benny is literally floating outside of his window. And Benny is screaming that he's hungry.
And he's telling him to open the window.
Yeah, invite me in.
Yeah, invite me in. Open the window. Invite me in.
They're using that vampire lore.
And Pike's like, yo, man, you're floating. Like, you gotta get out of here. Like, he's like, nah. And I think Pike even asks him if he's high.
Are you high?
Are you high?
Off the ground, literally.
Yeah.
So then we cut to Buffy going home. She's dirty as hell, okay? She was just fighting, I was going to say zombies. They're not zombies. They're vampires. Coming out of the grave automatically makes my brain go zombie. But no, she was fighting vampires in the cemetery. She's so dirty. And her parents don't really seem to notice. So this is where her mom yells something like, okay, yeah, whatever, honey. Her mother is also a cameo, which I wrote the name at the very bottom of my notes, so bear with me.
Yeah, get it. And the mom like questions her for like a half a second. She's like, do you know what time it is? And Buffy's like 10. And the only reason she asks her that is because they need to leave. So she just wanted Buffy home so that they could leave.
Yes.
And another thing to point out is before Buffy goes into the house, she has a brief conversation with Merrick where he makes it very, very clear that she cannot tell anyone that she is the Slayer.
Right.
It's very important that the vampires don't find out who she is.
Right. I'm so glad that you filled the space there. I was like, for a moment, I was like, no, 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 no. Did you hear me over here singing? And I was like, oh shit, she's going to fill the space. I don't have to sing. So sorry about that. But Buffy's mom is played by Candy Clark, who I'm going to also touch on her at the very end because I had questions about her. This is why I looked into her. We only see her on screen for a second, but she was in so many horror movies. She was in like Amityville 3D. She was in The Blob, the remake of The Blob.
Yes, dude. Yeah. Hell yeah.
So that's why I wanted to point her out. But
I love it.
Buffy's mom, Candy Clark.
Love it. Love it. So Buffy goes up to bed. And this scene, I was like, why is she putting a red ribbon in her hair?
Yeah.
It was really odd, right? Like, unless you're doing heatless curls, like, you're not styling your hair before bed, right?
I literally thought that too. I was like, was that a thing in the 90s where you like, did that shape her bang to do something?
Right. No. So it's actually happening in a nightmare. So she puts this ribbon in her hair and she sits down on her bed. And when she sits back, she's leaning into Lothos, who is on her bed.
He's sitting on her bed like one of those pillows that help you sit up straight.
That's literally what I thought. I'm like, he's like a chair. And he hands her a teddy bear. And the whole scene is like, it's really, it had like an undertone to me of like sexual tension.
Absolutely.
Right? And it was very disturbing.
They do that with Lothos. I almost couldn't say his name throughout this whole movie.
Absolutely, yes. So when she wakes up, she like lifts her hand up and she notices the ribbon in her hair. And she's like, what the frick is this? And that's when I was like, oh, okay. So she didn't intentionally put a ribbon in her hair before bed.
Right. That's being left from her dream. So she realizes there's something more there. It's not just a nightmare.
Exactly.
And also, I will say, the vampire lore in general oozes sexuality.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's just the whole biting of the neck thing.
That's
Vampire. That's hot. Vampires, you know, trying to seduce, hypnotize, all of that. So they're definitely playing into that aspect of the lore as well.
Yes. He just looks like he's 800 years old and she is a child.
Yeah.
So we cut to Amlin, who Did we mention earlier that he kidnapped Cassandra?
No, we didn't, but I also didn't even write it in my notes until this part anyway, so I think it's perfect.
Okay, yeah. So earlier in the movie, he kidnaps Cassandra, who's wearing the yellow jacket. I think she wears it, and Buffy's like, "Don't worry, I won't tell Kimberly about it."
Right.
So she's wearing the yellow jacket, and now we're in Lothos's lair with Amlin and Cassandra, and she looks up and she sees Lothos like floating in the air.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool shot.
Yeah, it seems like he brought her there to be a sacrifice.
Absolutely. Yep, 100%.
But we don't see what happens to her on screen, right?
No, we don't.
Okay. So Merrick now shows up in the girls' locker room like, dude,
I was like, you can't go in there.
you can't do that.
No, listen, I know the world is ending, okay? This is apocalypse and all of that, but that's a line you cannot cross.
I know that this is to save humanity, but you can't do that.
Not at all.
So what was happening here, really he was pissed off because Buffy was supposed to meet him at a certain time and she didn't show up.
Yeah, she's trying to maintain a normal life.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be the chosen one. She basically says to him, like, you know, that's great. Like, maybe there's a mistake. I don't know, but it's not for me. Like, she wants to be a cheerleader. She wants to live a normal life. And yeah, she definitely does not want to be the chosen one.
Can you imagine the pressure? You're like, I didn't ask for this. But
exactly.
Now the fate of the world is in your hands.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure for like a 16-year-old.
Holy shit.
She also like wishes him luck. And she's like, good luck. She turns back to her locker. And he is standing and he's looking at her and he whips a knife at her face and she catches it like between her hands.
Effortlessly.
Like just like boom.
Yeah. And he's like, see, you're the chosen one.
And she's like, you threw a knife at my head.
Yeah.
And she goes on to tell him, I don't want to be the chosen one. She's like, I want to graduate from high school, go to Europe, marry Christian Slater, and die.
Oh, Christian Slater was the obsession in the early 90s. They also mentioned him a lot in Clueless. There are a lot of links to Clueless.
Yes. Do you know that he sent Kristy Swanson flowers and said, like, I look forward to working with you one day?
Aw.
Yeah, isn't that
Did they
cute?
ever get to work together?
I don't believe they did, no.
Damn.
And she hadn't met him at that point.
Okay.
But it was just like a line in the movie.
That's cute.
You know Robin Hood? The Robin Hood movie, like the
Men in
live
Tights?
action? That's not the silly one. It's like the I don't know, it came out in the early 90s, but Kristen Slater's in it. And you know that he was like an up and coming or he was like the star because when they cut to him and it's like the reveal, they hold the camera on him for like a couple minutes and he smiles. And I don't know, it always sticks in my head.
I don't think I saw that one.
I saw it like maybe once or twice, but that specific scene being introduced to Christian Slater is like, oh, this is the it guy.
Yeah.
Even in Robin Hood. I forget who he played. Maybe, I don't remember. Anyway.
But yes, Merrick here tells her, look, you're the worst choice in my opinion, but it's really not an option.
Right.
So,
yes. And also she points out to him that he purposely put her in danger because he knew that even like when that vampire came out from the ground and grabbed her, he purposely did that because he knew that her instincts would kick in and she'd start fighting.
Right.
So he put her life at risk and she's pissed about that.
Yeah. She ends up punching him and sending him across the room.
And she's like, I've never punched anyone before. And he goes, like something like, yeah, you're pretty good at it or something.
Yeah. She's like, whoa. And then she goes, I didn't even break a nail. And that's literally the catalyst that convinces her she should do this.
It's the fucking best. And here we go. Montage City, baby.
I literally wrote in all caps, training montage.
Same, me too. Dude, I watched this scene over and over and over as a kid.
Oh, she's doing it all. She is boxing. She's doing rolls. She's throwing the stakes. She's doing kicks and back handsprings.
Oh, dude, I love it so much. Even now, it like does something to me.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's so good. So Merrick and Buffy at the end of this montage are talking a little bit. And he asks her specifically, how does Lothos make you feel in the dreams?
Mm-hmm.
And she tells him that he scares her.
Yeah.
And as we go on, you'll start to, exactly what we were saying earlier about this weird like tension between her and Lothos.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of start to see that unravel. But I think the point of the scene was like to show that Merrick is like starting to care for Buffy.
Yeah.
And like they're building a connection. They're building a
Mhm.
bond. So we cut to the principal's office. And number one, I love this actor. His name is Beep Boop.
Stephen Root.
Stephen Root.
Yeah.
I love him. I think he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, he's from Office Space, Dodgeball, amongst many other things.
Yeah, I loved him. He had a short, like few episodes on True Blood, and I thought he was just fantastic in it. So she's in the office with him, and he's like having a conversation with her because she's missing classes, she's been late, blah 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 blah, and he's like, "Listen," he's like, I'm a party guy, okay? I'm a happening dude." And he goes on to tell her, he asks her, he's like, "Is it drugs? Are you on drugs?" And he's like, "Listen, man, I took drugs. I took acid in the 60s." He's like, "I was at a Doobie Brothers concert. I could feel the music flowing through me."
Yeah, he's like going on and on.
He's like, I was a toaster.
I was a toaster.
And my friend Melissa looked like a big party balloon." And she's just kind of like absently listening to him. And then there's a fly kind of like buzzing around, and she puts a push pin in her mouth and spits it and hits the fly.
Yeah.
And he just kind of no sells it, kind of does sell it.
Yeah.
But I thought the principal was a fantastic character in this movie.
Oh, especially at the end. I love him.
He's great. So now we see Pike, and he's at the automobile shop that he works at. And he's telling the dude that he works with, the other mechanic, that he's leaving town.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I'm leaving town. Shit's getting weird here." He's like, if you're smart, you'll leave too. And he's like, he asks him if he's seen Benny. And the
Mhm.
guy's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, what do you want me to do if I see Benny?" And Pike's like, "You need to run.
Yeah.
You should just run."
Yeah. He doesn't know what's up, but he knows something is up.
He knows shit is weird. Absolutely. And then we cut to Buffy, and she is patrolling.
Yeah. She's walking down this alleyway and she's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so dark. I'm so helpless."
And she's like singing to herself too.
Yeah. Like she's clearly putting it on.
Yes.
She also she's wearing a beanie.
That's
and,
like me whenever this is terrible. Whenever I cross the border and the border guard is like, being aggressive
Mhm.
sometimes, because they kind of are.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just don't understand what the problem is, officer.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just trying to go home.
She was literally the "I'm just a girl" meme. That's what
No,
she was doing
totally.
here.
That's what you got to do. But it's true. I'm just going home.
Yeah.
Like,
She's wearing like her normal clothes, but she has on a backpack and a beanie. Like she's going to go rob something.
yeah, totally, for sure.
Inevitably, a vampire does show up, which she was clearly trying to lure them.
Mm-hmm.
And she kicks their ass, and it's clear that she was practicing.
Exactly. He looked like a total jabron too.
Yeah.
The guy didn't
He was the jobber
just
vampire.
move- yeah, he was totally. So Merrick shows up, and he's got a timer,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of scolds her for luring the vampire into the alley by herself,
Mhm.
because he tells her taking on one vampire is one thing, but the game changes when there are multiple vampires there, and you don't know if there's going to be like a group of them, right?
Right.
And she talks about her cramps again, and he explains to her that the cramps are actually like warning bells.
Like her instincts.
Yeah, it's like sounding the alarm. And she goes, "Oh, great. My secret weapon is PMS."
Yeah. I wrote that down too. But yeah, that's basically her alert system.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love when he first asked her about it too. She's like, "Yeah, you weirdo, but I'm not due for a couple weeks."
Yeah.
Which I don't think she says that verbatim. That might just be how I reiterated it. But
No, totally. And her and Merrick are having a conversation here where she's stressing to him that she's risking her life and that
Mhm.
he's not doing anything. Like, she feels like she's doing all the work and he's not doing anything. And he kind of explains to her here that his life's purpose is to train slayers.
yeah, he tells her that he's been training slayers for 100 lives.
Yes, so he just keeps being reincarnated to train these slayers.
Which also the pressure to just be born, because he says, "I'm born each time with the knowledge that this is my purpose." That's
Yeah.
heavy.
And he can't get involved. Like, that's the other thing. He's not supposed to get involved in the actual fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And he feels like she's exceptional. He feels like she's,
She's different than any other slayer he's trained.
yes, for multiple reasons, I think, right?
Mhm.
Like, she's definitely difficult for him because
Mhm.
she wants to maintain a real life.
Yeah, also I imagine this might be his first time training a slayer in the 90s.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like this is a different culture that he's experiencing for the first time.
Exactly. And she asks him like what happens when there aren't any more vampires, and he tells her that maybe he'll go to heaven. And I just loved the scene because you really can see their relationship growing. She makes him tea, and he's like, we really need to go to work, and she's like, quick, before anyone has any fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the dynamic between them. You can really tell he's starting to care for her, and she is starting to look to him as maybe a parental figure because
Yeah.
her parents are so absent, and I don't think Buffy has that type of support.
It doesn't seem that way. And I could see her being like his teenage daughter.
For sure. She also tells him like not to worry, that she's not like the other girls and she won't croak that easily. And he asks her what makes her so different. She says, "It's my keen fashion sense." And he mocks her and he goes, "Oh, vampires of the world, beware." And it's so cute and it's really playful. And she says something like, "Oh, did you just make a joke?"
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like,
Like,
"It was-"
oh, look at you.
and then she's like, "It was a really funny joke." And
Aw.
I don't know. I love that scene so
Yeah.
much.
So in the next scene, Pike is driving his van stalls and he ends up being circled by vampires, including Amelin.
Mm-hmm.
We notice here that the headlights, he starts flashing the headlights, they seem to bother Amelin a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it reminded me of like how vampires react to daylight. I was like, oh, is this going to be a thing? I think maybe the lights were just in his eyes. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And Amelin's like a little bit of a drama. Like he's a little bit over the top.
He's a little extra. He's a little
extra for
eccentric.
sure, yeah.
Very true to Paul Reubens, I would say.
Yeah.
And so Pike is like, fuck this. He gets his van to work. He backs over two vampires that were behind his van. He drives forward. Amelin jumps on the hood and he's just flooring it. And Amelin is sitting on the windshield, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up climbing up to the roof of the van. Pike is like driving through this park or forest. Like he has to dodge trees and stuff.
And he's like, "Get off my car, dude."
yeah.
He's got some fun little quips too.
Yeah. They all have really good dialogue. It's fun.
Yeah.
And
This
maybe
is crazy. He like punches a hole through the roof of his
Yes.
van, dude.
punches a hole through the roof. Pike ends up hitting a tree. Amelin's arm falls off in this process because his arm's like through the hole, right? He's like, "You ruined my new jacket." And then he tells the other vampires, "Kill him a lot."
It's so over the top.
So the other two vampires attack.
Yeah, and Pike's like fighting them.
Oh my gosh, this caught me off guard at first because I didn't understand where this came from. He grabs a guitar out of nowhere and smashes it over their head like Jeff Jarrett.
I think.
I'm assuming it flew out of his van.
Yeah, for sure.
But at first I was like, they're in the woods. Where the fuck did this guitar come from?
Like Jeff Jarrett.
Wrestling fans will know.
I'm sorry, that's so funny. Okay.
And so Buffy pops up out of nowhere, breaks off a piece of that guitar, and uses it as a stake.
Hell yeah, she does.
Very innovative.
And then Pike faints in her arms.
And so
Oh, and Merrick like points out, he's like, "Yeah, he does that in front of me a lot," or something like that. Because the second time that he's like passed out in front of Merrick.
yeah, I think he points out too that she did something clever with that guitar too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, good one.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote Kristy here, but I meant Buffy. It's so interesting when I'm reading back my notes, like, what was I doing? But honestly, I was probably just like, multitasking.
Yeah.
So Buffy takes Pike back to her house and explains what's going on. And they have like a little moment here. There's a lot of tension between them too. Like you can tell they like each other.
Yeah, and you can see that Pike is relating to her in the sense that because she's kind of telling him like she's giving him some insight onto like what shit is like without really saying too much. It's really all in her expression.
Yeah, because they both in high school, they don't think that they like each other. They're from like quote unquote different groups, right?
Right.
She thought Pike was a loser. Pike thinks she's a stuck-up bitch. Maybe a little bit is truth in both of those things, but they're learning where the other person's coming from.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I really loved about the character of Pike is he's not afraid or ashamed of Buffy being stronger and tougher than him.
Hell yeah.
He's totally comfortable being her, like standing behind her.
Yeah, he is kind of her sidekick
Yeah.
in the end.
And she even says like, "You can sleep in the guest room," and he's like, "No, I'll just sleep right here."
Yeah.
Which like obviously he was like wants to stay awake and watch the door and make sure that they're safe. And I loved that.
I love that too. He says, "I'll stay downstairs and make sure the sun comes up."
Yeah, I just thought it was really cute. And he does say something about like that he understands. Like he gets where she's coming from. He's trying to relate to her. And I really loved the scene.
I love that moment.
Yeah.
So now back at the lair, Lothos is scolding Amelin. He's like, "You're 1,200 years old and you're acting like a child."
And it's actually true. Like he really does act like a little kid.
Yeah,
Like
'cause
I
he's
picture him like
whining.
stomping his feet and being like, meh.
Yeah, he's whining because his arm fell off, I believe. And also because, Pike got away.
And Lothos tells him to do something about his arm. It looks horrible.
And then Lothos takes a kitten back to his chamber. He's like, "I'm going to take this, I don't know, for a snack or something."
Yeah, he does. He calls it a little snack. And when it happened, I went, "Ooh, AK's not going to like that."
No, not at all. I was like, wait, you can kill cats as a vampire? Can they eat animals?
Yeah, they can eat whatever they
Oh,
want.
I didn't think I realized that.
I think they prefer people.
Okay.
Yeah, human
I would
blood.
imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this whole time you could just eat animals? You're like, no, eat the people. Please just eat the people. But let us point out which people.
That's right. All the bad ones.
So now back at school, Buffy's literally throwing dudes, specifically her boyfriend's friend, Andy, again, who grabbed her.
Yes.
I said he was going to get worse. He got worse.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
And then, go ahead.
Well, no, like, well, first of all, the popular girls, like, what are their names? Kimberly, the other two idiots. They're like talking about Cassandra's death in such like a very gross, like, it's just they don't care.
Yeah.
It's just obvious that they don't care.
Right. They sound like people in present day, how they comment on Instagram.
Yeah, and Kimberly's more pissed about the jacket than she is about Cassandra.
Yeah.
And you can tell Buffy is like over that shit.
She's so over it.
Yeah.
And then Andy has the audacity to grab her. She yeets him,
Oh,
okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I think she turn to her boyfriend and say, like, are you going to do something about it?
Yeah, and he's like, keep your hands off my thing.
Okay, I wrote down.
Excuse you?
I didn't know if he said my thang or my dame, but
I think
either
he
way,
said thing.
I think so too. Thang, Thang. And I wrote, either way, go fuck yourself.
I wrote fucking loser.
Oh my gosh. I was so over him in the beginning, but like, especially in this scene.
Gross.
Because then he's still friends with this guy. They like run off together.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, what is going on?
I know. He doesn't care. Like, that's the thing. Like, he doesn't care about Buffy.
Yeah.
None of these girls or guys do. They're just like stupid teenagers.
They're extremely shallow.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, so couple things happen here. One, Buffy and Merrick have a conversation where she basically tells him she's going to cheerleader practice and he can suck it. And he's like, none of the other girls gave me this much trouble. And she's like, yeah, well, all of them died. So see you later. So now we're at the game, big old basketball game. And one of the jocks, Grueler, is at the game, who is now a vampire.
Yes, he's the one that we saw get attacked by Emmeline earlier in the movie.
That's right. And Merrick shows up to the game. He's hanging there too. And Buffy is performing the iconic, how funky is your chicken? How funky is your chicken? How loose is your goose? Our goose is totally loose.
Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Come on, all you hog fans, and shake your caboose.
Oh, we're doing the whole thing.
Oh, we are getting it. And then we see the coach, and the coach, slick back coach, he's super positive and he looks like an investment banker, like I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, he's like hyping up the troops, right? And Grueler is on the court and he is dominating the game.
Yeah.
He's scaring people. At one point, we get a little cameo from Ben motherfucking Affleck.
Yes, an uncredited basketball player in this scene.
Yes, and he's holding the ball, and Grueler basically tells him to give him the ball, and Ben Affleck is like, yeah, here, take it.
Yeah.
I don't need it that much. But Buffy notices that Grueler is a vampire, and so does Merrick.
His ears, right?
Yeah, his ears look fucking weird. He's like, not only that, he's like
did he float at one
floats.
point? Okay.
Yeah, he like
Like,
slam dunks.
that'll do it.
He like slam dunks, but he's floating. Like, how did nobody else go, whoa?
They just thought like, oh, he really like slam dunked that
He
thing.
is really good at basketball.
Is that what you say in basketball? He really slam dunked that thing?
Slam dunk. I like the callback to Thing.
Slam dunk the funk. If you know, you know. Do you remember that?
No.
Damn it. It was like a Disney thing.
Oh.
It was a boy band called Five, but instead of an F, they used the number 5.
Why does that sound so familiar to me?
Slam dunk the
funk.
funk. You do know
I do.
it.
I know what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know if we can sing it for legal purposes.
Yeah, maybe
but
not.
you know what? That was a fucking banger.
I know it was. It
Anyway.
totally was. So yeah, Buffy and Merrick are like, we know that's a vampire. And Buffy's like, that's it. I'm going after him. And so she does. She runs onto the court and the cheerleaders are all like, oh my God, what is she doing? And it's like, she's saving your life.
Yeah.
Okay. So she chases after Grueler, and Grueler, they run to the gym. Grueler is like running, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, he's like, booga, 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 booga. Like he's like he doesn't, I don't know how to describe it.
Like he's never ran before and
Yeah,
he's trying
like-
to be a human.
Like he's trying to be a human, but it's almost like he's trying to, like, on Halloween, like people that run up to you to try to scare you and like, whoa!
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how he is. One thing about this scene that I had to bring up to you, there's a group of bikers outside of the high school.
Yes.
And one of them is on a payphone and he casually says, oh, the game must be at halftime. And in my notes, I'm like, why are a group of bikers, number one, hanging out outside of high school, but why do they know about the basketball game?
Right. This must be a town where basketball was life. Because there are towns where like the football games, the whole town is going to that game.
Dude, it reminded me of One Tree Hill.
Okay, I
Did you
can
ever
see
watch
that.
One Tree Hill?
I think my sister did, and I would catch episodes, so I get the gist.
Like the basketball games, like you would think it was what is basketball? NBA.
What is basketball?
Like, what is it?
Just what is basketball?
What is it? Because I really don't know. But these are like grown ass men, and one of them is like, "Hey, honey, you want some real power between your legs?"
Okay, I'm so glad you wrote that line. It's disgusting, and I hate it, and I also wish I never heard it. But I didn't catch it when I was watching it, but I knew they said something gross, and I didn't know exactly what they said.
They're
and I'm like,
grown men.
yes.
She is 16. They are grown ass men.
I wrote down, I say they're gross men because they say gross things to her. I couldn't catch exactly what it was, but I knew they said something gross.
Dude, she's like, "Yeah, I do." And she steals one of their bikes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat what they call her,
Yeah.
but they call her something that is so completely fucked up. I wrote in my notes, that's fucking wild. And then they're yelling at her, "We're going to tell the whole world."
Yeah.
And if you watch the scene, you know what I'm talking about.
It's wild. It feels so like 0 to 100. You're like, what the fuck just happened?
And that choice of yeah.
It was the early 90s.
It was early 90s, but my God.
We just keep saying that for all the movies. It was the 80s. It was the 90s.
God, it was terrible. It was terrible.
But Buffy does chase down Grueller on that motorcycle,
Mhm.
and she chases him down to that carnival/boardwalk.
Yeah, and she passes Pike on the way,
Mhm.
and he hops on his little dirt bike.
Yeah.
And he goes after them.
She's having cramps again, so this indicates obviously that something is about to go down.
Yep.
So it's not just Grueller here. There's way more vampires.
Mhm.
And she starts fighting him. Pike shows up. He's helping her. There's a lot of unnecessary back handsprings, but I'm sure as a child, we're like, whoa.
I love it.
Yeah, do a back handspring to just run across the lot. Absolutely.
Love it.
Lothos appears. I don't know what that laugh was. Did you hear that?
No.
I was like,
Can I also say that, like, there are a couple lines here that kind of cracked me up. Like, Grueller, for one, calls himself a god, and she just kicks him in the face. And Pike stakes him from behind and calls him a coat rack.
a coat rack. He does. Yeah, I did catch that.
I just thought that was pretty funny.
I love that shit. So when Lothos appears to Buffy, he starts entrancing her.
Oh, and also when she does all those flips, she ends up falling on Pike, and they have this like cute little moment.
Oh, yeah.
So cute.
Oh my gosh. She like, now that I'm remembering what happens, she like does the back handsprings into almost like landing on this guy's shoulders in
Yeah.
like a wrestling move.
Yeah.
But kind of like knocks him over with her ass and then, yeah, falls on Pike.
Yeah, yeah.
Side note, this is coming from someone who did not watch the series. Is Pike supposed to be Spike?
No,
Okay.
totally different
Okay.
characters. Mhm.
Anywho, Lothos disappear.
Oh, and sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I just want to say, I thought I don't know. Every time I watch a scene, I try to figure out like what the significance is.
Right.
And when she falls on him and she says like, "I told you to leave," and he's like, "Yeah, no, like, no, I'm not. Of course not. I'm not going anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be here with you." Again, it like reinforces how good of a partner Pike is to her.
Yeah.
And that he's okay being her like sidekick.
Yeah, he's down.
I loved it.
He is a ride or die.
Sorry. Okay. Anyways, I'll stop with all the details.
No, please continue.
That's all I got.
I know. I'm like, does
You're right.
does
is
Lothos
here.
appear to Buffy? Okay.
Lothos is
No, because it's perfect. You're filling in the spots that I didn't write down. I feel like my notes are very simplified for this episode for some reason. Normally, I write down a lot of unnecessary shit, and today I did not. But anywho, Lothos appeared to Buffy, and he starts entrancing her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's getting closer and closer to him. You can see in her face that she's entranced.
Mm-hmm.
All these carnival things start moving too, right? Like in the background?
Yeah, like there's like floats and Pike is like, hello, like, so do you anybody see anything wrong with this? Like,
Yeah.
that's the bad guy. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Merrick shows up. He stops Lothos from biting Buffy.
Yeah, he says not her.
Yeah, which was
Mhm.
this whole thing was very interesting to me. So I don't know if you'll have any more info on this.
Mm-hmm.
But when he said not her and then Lothos stops, I was like, why did he stop? Like, how did that stop him from doing what he wanted to do?
Well, he doesn't actually stop him. He ends up killing Merrick.
Right. He ends up stabbing Merrick with the stake, which
Yeah.
is really sad.
Mm-hmm. It's terrible.
But-
yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was interesting where he's like, not her. And then he's like, And then they do end up leaving, so I didn't know why he didn't continue like trying to attack Buffy.
Well, I do think with Lothos, this is like a very cat and mouse
True.
situation. And I don't know. It's interesting because I got the feel that like Lothos, because Merrick says she's not ready to fight him.
Right.
And there's a couple of like conflicting things I feel like about this scene.
Okay.
Like, I think Lothos wants her to be on his level when he fights her, because I think he like gets off on that. Like he like, because later in the movie he says that we're destined and all of these things. So I do think he wants her.
Is there a possibility that he wanted to turn her?
Maybe he wanted to turn her, but in every single life that they've lived, he kills her.
Right.
So I think it's more of like he wants to drain her.
But wants it to be more like of a challenge to him or something.
I think so, yeah. I definitely get that vibe. But it was confusing to me because at this point, he doesn't know that she's the Slayer. But after this, he should know she's the Slayer.
He has to.
But he doesn't until the Benny runs to Amlin and tells him that Buffy's the Slayer. And then he tells Lothos that Buffy's the Slayer. And then he goes to get her. I don't know if maybe that was
like a continuity
issue, but I was very confused, like you're saying, about that interaction.
Yeah, because when he's like, she hasn't trained enough, he has to know. Merrick says to Lothos, she hasn't trained enough, like he has to know there. But maybe he thinks, is there a world where Merrick is training Slayers, but she's not the one?
I don't know, because she, in all of the dreams, she looks the same.
Yeah, and Lothos is in that dream, and I imagine he is actually there because he's giving her that ribbon that appears in real life.
Yeah, so wouldn't he recognize her?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the scene where Benny comes and he's like, it's Buffy, Buffy's the Slayer. Like, maybe Lothos already knew that.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe just Amlin is finding out and Lothos,
maybe Lothos already knew.
Possibly. Either way, I thought it was weird that Lothos seemed to be playing by some sort of rules. When he was like, not her, she's not ready. Like, wouldn't he be like, perfect, she's not ready, I'm going to kill her now?
Yeah, maybe there is like rules between them. I'm not really sure. They really don't clarify that, unless I just didn't catch on to that.
I didn't catch it, but I also think cat and mouse makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because even later in the movie, like he is using his violin to like serenade her and hypnotize her. And there's like sexual tension on his part, for sure.
Maybe he didn't want to kill her because he likes her. I don't know. They don't really specify.
I don't know.
So it's up for interpretation.
I guess so. Anybody out there that is a big fan of Buffy, or maybe someone that read Origin, I wonder if Origin would explain that a little bit better than like the movie did.
What the writer intended there?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, like how you mentioned earlier, it was the writer, right? That wasn't happy with the direction.
Yeah.
So maybe things got a little mixed up because he had one intention and then things were changing.
That's what, yeah.
So it kind of didn't blend.
That's what I'm wondering.
Maybe.
Yeah. So Merrick gets the stake to the chest.
Yeah.
And he collapses into Buffy's arms. And it's just a really, really sad scene. As Merrick is dying in her arms, he tells her that she does everything wrong, and he laughs to himself. She apologizes, and he tells her to do it wrong. Do it wrong.
Yeah.
He said, don't play their game. And he said, and the rest is, and you don't hear what he says.
Yes.
But you will find out later what he says. And he does die in her arms. So he mentions here, don't play their game. So maybe there is some kind of unwritten rule or unwritten law of how vampires and the Slayers interact.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, I'm a diehard of the show, and that lore is different from the movie.
Okay.
But I feel like Origin would fill the blanks in.
Yeah, maybe. And that also makes sense because it's been done the same way for centuries, and the same result keeps happening.
So maybe the vampires are the ones that made the rules.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's interesting. So Buffy and Pike go to Merrick's house, and Buffy is kind of like looking through his things, and it's just very, very sad,
It was really sad when he died.
It was awful.
Like, I really did feel that connection between Merrick and Buffy.
Like, to me, it felt like her dad dying.
Yeah.
Like, because you could really see that she doesn't have a parent that looks out for her, and Merrick looked out for her. And I also feel like Merrick saw her for who she was.
And for more than just whatever her shallow friends we're seeing her as.
Absolutely. Like he saw Buffy for Buffy and he saw something in her. Like he saw potential in her,
Something
you know?
powerful.
Yeah. And I think that shit, man, like I think everybody wants to be seen.
Oh, absolutely. And
Right?
having someone see that you are powerful, like, and convincing you that you're more powerful than you thought you were.
Dude, it'll change your life.
Absolutely.
For real. Can I also say Merrick's apartment is fucking bomb, dude.
It's huge.
Those big ass windows. I'd say that's like a loft.
Is that where she was doing her training montage?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's a huge apartment.
It almost looked like he was living in an abandoned factory or something like that.
I could see that.
But those windows, oh, could you imagine living there?
With that natural light coming
And
in.
he's got like big curtains to kind of like, oh, I loved it.
Can you imagine the plants that would survive?
Well, they wouldn't survive with me, that's for sure.
No matter what.
So true. Okay. So we're back at the high school, and I'm just going to refer to them as the popular girls.
Yeah.
And you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. So the populars are all talking shit about Buffy.
Yeah.
And they're also making decorations for this dance.
The
And
dance is everything to them.
oh, it's like the most important thing ever. In fact, Kimberly gets really upset here because Buffy comes in and Buffy is talking about real shit. And they're like, hello, like the dance is the most important thing ever because it's our last one. And then one of the other girls is like, well, actually, there's semi-formal. And then she just starts rhyming off all of these other dances they have coming up.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, that's not the point.
Exactly. And they're all just being really shitty towards her. They're like, oh, what, you're dating that old homeless guy? Like they're just being awful. And she's like, that's not what it is, man.
They're
like,
so dumb. They're dumb as a box of rocks, for real.
no, they really are. And that Jen girl, she's just such a follower. And Buffy's like pointing out, like, don't you guys know about like the disappearances, all the weird stuff happening in town? And they just don't care.
No.
They don't give a shit. And Buffy says the dance is stupid. Dances
Mhm.
are stupid. And it's sad because Buffy's grieving and she doesn't have anyone to grieve with.
Yeah, because they don't understand and they don't want to understand.
No, exactly. And this does carry through the show. The loneliness of being a slayer and not having anyone to turn to. And Merrick
Yeah.
was the one person that she could turn to. Ugh, it's just so sad.
And her friends get pissed and leave because they can't think outside of this high school bubble.
Awful.
The dance is the only thing that matters in the world to them.
Yeah. And Buffy's alone in the gym and she just decides to walk home.
Mm-hmm.
And she runs into Pike while she's walking. And Pike is kind of like, like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? And she's like, I'm going shopping.
Yeah, so they kind of guilt tripped her and now she feels bad and she feels like she has to go to this dance, it seems, right?
I don't know. That's interesting that's how you interpreted the scene.
Yeah.
I love that. I took it as her rebelling because of what happened to Merrick. Like
Okay.
Merrick just died in her arms and she doesn't want to be the fucking slayer anymore because being a slayer, one, gets her killed and gets the people that she loves killed.
Yeah, that too. That makes a lot of sense.
Right? So she's like, you know what? I'm going to go back to my old life because my old life was safer and I
Yeah.
didn't have to have these big, heavy emotions and pressure.
That makes a lot of sense and it goes into her telling Merrick in the beginning that she didn't want to be the Slayer.
Absolutely. And Pike is really thrown off by this. He's
Mhm.
like, you know what? Like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. And when she walks off, he yells to her, like, I thought you were different, but you're just like everybody else,
Mhm.
And at one point, like, again, I really love Pike. He says to her, like, you're the chosen guy. He specifically is like, you're the chosen guy. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like, he really believes in her in a different way than Merrick did.
Right.
But he believes in her and he wants her to, like, kick ass.
Yeah, and he also sees that the world is actually under attack by a legion of vampires.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like this is pretty important.
Exactly. So what's interesting about the scene also is that Benny is in the photo booth and he overhears them. And this is where he runs to Amlin,
Emmeline.
and says, Buffy's the Slayer. It's
Mhm.
Buffy. So this is why I was saying earlier that I'm confused as to, like, did they not know that? Was Lothos keeping that a secret? Because then Lothos responds like, oh, well, I guess we're going to a dance then.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he did sound kind of sarcastic or just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But he basically says that he's going to kill her at the dance,
Yeah.
that they're going to a dance.
So unclear on when he found out, but I just think that maybe Amelin was finding out for the first time and that Lothos already knew.
Good. Yeah.
And he's just playing a game.
We're going into another montage here.
It is very funny to me. the contrast here, like you mentioned earlier, like her wearing hot pink in the cemetery, just the idea that the fate of the world is in the hands of like this ditzy 16-year-old girl is
Yeah.
very funny.
It's a great concept. I
Yeah.
love it. And I just think it's fantastic. So we get a montage. Pike is trying to make a steak. He's like whittling a steak out of a snow brush,
Yeah.
right? Or like that's what I thought it was a snow brush, probably because I'm Canadian, but maybe it's a broom. And at the same time, Buffy is like trying on dresses and trying to be more of a normal girl.
Mhm.
We also see Pike is shaving and getting cleaned up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And now we're at the dance.
Yes.
Hug the world is the theme.
Hug the world. Yeah, that was their environmental
Yes.
cause, right?
Yes. The music is very 90s like techno,
Yeah.
right? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just very, very 90s dance.
Mhm.
And the mean girls are there and they're judging everyone.
Yes. Lothos also had mentioned that he is waiting because he wants this dance, right?
Yeah.
He mentioned something about wanting a dance. So we're seeing some more vampire lore being used here, similar to the lore that was used in Vampire in Brooklyn.
Right.
You know, why do vampires love to dance, particularly with their victims?
Yeah.
I'm
And
assuming.
it does play into what Merrick says to her.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think it has to do with like psychological manipulation. It's a power dynamic. There are sexual undertones, of course.
For sure.
So that plays in here.
Yep. Absolutely. Definitely.
The dress that Buffy is wearing in this scene,
Does it not look like a wedding dress?
I could see that. It is short, but I could see it being like a wedding dress in like Vegas or something.
What were you going to say?
That it's burned into my brain.
It is like, really?
Yes, this look is what I think of. Well, specifically when she puts on the leather jacket over the dress.
Oh, yeah, that's iconic.
That is the look that I remember from this movie.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
Seeing her walk into the dance with her hair in that like low bun
Yeah.
and that white short dress. It's like it's a poofy dress, but it's like a short halter top.
God, it's ugly, man.
It's a really?
I think it's so ugly.
Okay, it's very 90s. I would say like I don't know. I also think I have a little bit tacky of a taste, but it's like a white halter top dress. It is a little poofy. I don't like the poof, but I like the top of it. I think I just like halter tops.
Yeah, halter tops are a moment.
Yeah.
I like them.
I don't know about the poofy part of it, but yes, when I saw her walk in the gym again, I was like, yes, this is what's nostalgic to me.
I love that so much. And she does. She walks in and she does look beautiful. She's
Yeah.
so pretty. And she's looking for Jeffrey. And she walks over to the mean girls
Mhm.
and she asks about Jeffrey. And they're all like staring at her and laughing.
So Buffy finds out that her boyfriend brought someone else to the dance.
Yeah, her friend Jenny.
Her fucking friend Jenny. I don't know what the shit was going on.
Jenny is not a girl's girl.
He left her a breakup message on her answering machine.
That's like equivalent today's standards. I think that would be like a text breakup or ghost,
Absolutely.
you know?
Even worse because you'll probably see a text before you listen to your answering machine.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yep. And
And
Buffy's like obviously like really confused.
Yeah, and she's of course sad about it. So now she's being all emo against the wall.
But he also was like, you need to move on.
Yeah. Like, well, I just found out 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, like fuck you, man. He sucks. Anyway, you're right.
He really does.
She's hanging out alone. She's up against the wall.
And then Pike walks in wearing, guess what? A leather jacket
He looks so handsome.
with his slick back hair.
Yeah.
Buffy's friends are disgusted by Pike. And I mean, Buffy was too at one point.
Which is like, he's a smoke show. Like, how could you be disgusted
Luke Perry in
about,
the 90s and also always. Come on.
always. He is just, yeah, he was such a babe. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now Buffy don't give a fuck. She's
Mhm.
like, this is my man's, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Having to literally kill vampires has helped her see outside of that shallow high school bubble, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. It's very cute. He like pulls a flower out from like one of the decorations and gives it to her. It's so sweet.
I love this scene. I love the song that they're playing.
I know.
They dance, they share a kiss.
Oh, I love it.
And then vampires start breaking into the dance, breaking out windows.
Yep, that's right. The vamps show up. And this is a little, I just love this. Like Buffy is like standing ready to go and Pike stands behind her.
Yeah.
And I know I keep saying that, but that's a man.
Mhm.
That is a fucking man who like, you know, stands behind his woman.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And he knows that she's the ass kicker. Like, he's
Hell
just being-
yeah.
he's
And
just
he's
being
okay
real.
with it. He's good with
Yeah.
it. You know, I'm like, yes.
He's like, I will help you, but you're the chosen one. I mean, come on.
yeah, but like, you know, it's not every man is comfortable having a strong woman at his side.
Definitely not.
Most men
definitely
I
not.
don't think are. I shouldn't say that. But
It takes a strong man to accept a strong woman.
100%. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I just love about Pike.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Buffy does say here that they can't come in unless they're invited, I believe.
Yes, and Kimberly's like, well, I already invited them because they're seniors.
And I was like, fuck, but that was a great loophole. I'm like, oh my gosh, they already got invitations, but they didn't come in. So I guess that didn't count. They
don't
were
know.
kind of like, they were kind of lingering at the windows and
They're
stuff.
lingering, but they do all come in.
Yeah.
They do. I think they're just having fun.
They're just
right?
fucking with them.
One of the vampires outside is Seth Green. He's just uncredited.
Yes. He was a little cameo.
And they all want Buffy. Like they're there to get Buffy.
Yeah. And so Pike tosses Buffy his leather jacket. I lied. This is the look I associate with this movie. Her in that like, it's just iconic.
Yep. Yeah, and he also has a bag of weapons, a big ass bag of weapons.
He came prepared. So she goes outside and she starts flipping around. I mean, legit flipping around.
There's like fog and smoke, and Buffy's just kicking ass. Grueler shows up and he goes into the school. And Buffy runs past Jen making out with Jeffrey in the back of his like shitty little car.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh. The vampires, I mean, they're getting their asses beat by Buffy. Meanwhile, her quote unquote friend, Kimberly, is looking outside the window going, it's okay. I think they're just going after her.
She
the
sucks.
Fucking worst.
She sucks. And there's a little line where the principal's like, well, I'm going to need some detention slips.
Oh my gosh, I love him. He's great.
Yeah, he's great.
Chaos is happening at the dance. Pike is holding it down inside.
He is.
Alexis Arquette, David Arquette's sister, is also another cameo.
Yes.
She was the vampire DJ at the booth that took over.
Yeah, I love that the DJ comes in.
Buffy is now alone, and she's facing off with a one-armed Amelin.
Yep.
There are some great one-liners here, too.
There's a couple of Wizard of Oz mentions here.
Oh.
Benny does his best cowardly lion impression.
Yes, I did notice that.
And Amelin says to Buffy, I'll get you, Buffy, and your little dog, too. So I thought that was funny that there's like back-to-back Wizard of Oz references.
They must have been huge fans. Someone was.
He's taunting her. Like, Amelin is like enjoying himself. He's taunting her, and then he starts going on about Lothos and how powerful he is and blah, 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 blah. And they're immortal, and they can do whatever they want.
And Amelin does here try to convince Buffy to come to their side.
Right.
So maybe that is why. Maybe he didn't want to kill her because he wanted to turn her. Lothos, that is.
Yeah. I would really, somebody read Origin, please.
Oh my gosh, because he says here, come on, come to our side. We can do anything. And she goes, okay, clap.
I love that line.
I popped so hard for that line with his one arm.
I thought it was great.
Benny is trying to attack Pike, by the way, on the inside.
Yes.
That's where he does that cowardly lion, like, come on, fight like a man, that reference.
Exactly.
I'm not an impressionist, okay?
Can I also say that Lothos and Amelin's like outfits were killing me. Like Lothos looks like he went to like a costume shop.
Oh my god.
Like a Halloween costume shop and was like, I need something that looks like somebody would wear this to a dance in the 1800s.
That's probably exactly what they asked for. So they're like, are they off in like the basement or something of the school?
Yeah, they're in a different part of the school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Lothos starts playing the violin, which we will find out that Merrick had said something to Buffy before he died about something about music. It was something about listening for the silence.
Exactly. She pieces it together here in the moment.
Yes. Buffy ends up stabbing Amelin.
Oh, his death? Ooh, ooh. That was all improvised.
This is the scene that I remember from this movie.
Of course.
Is Amelin's death.
Of course. Yep. For sure. Me too. It's great. It's so, if you watch nothing else in this movie, just watch his death because it's fantastic.
It's very Paul Reubens.
Lothos tells her that she's going to wish that she died.
Which is terrifying.
And as he's dying, he tells her that she's going to wish that she died, which is basically saying like Lothos is going to kill you and it's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
It's a great death scene.
Yeah. Lothos ends up grabbing Buffy. He spins her around into him the same way that she dreamt.
Yep.
And he says that Amelin was her first real kill and his last gift to her.
And watching Buffy kill him was very intimate.
Yeah. I'm like, ew.
Gross.
And that it's time to put away childish things. And he goes to bite her neck.
Yeah.
He's entrancing her again, too, because she's not moving. She's just kind of like frozen.
Yep.
Now, Pike finally gets the upper hand on Benny, pushes him into like a circuit breaker or like some type of electrical box, and electrocutes him.
Yep, exactly.
It stops the music.
Yes.
We have silence.
Oh, yes. This is where she puts it together.
Yes. And Buffy's trance is broken. So she says something something here. I don't know if you wrote down the exact line by chance, but something about them being a cute couple. And she's like, we're a cute couple, please.
Yeah, she does. She says police.
And I bring it up because he's going to mock her in a little bit, which also is a part that I remembered from when I was a kid.
Okay, also, I'm pretty sure this is where, if you guys listen to another episode, or maybe I said it on the Patreon exclusive, I don't know, but I talk about how I went to a boy's house once and I brought a weapon with me because I was afraid. I brought hairspray and a lighter to make a blowtorch if anything went down. And I'm pretty sure this is where I got the idea because Buffy uses her hairspray and a lighter as a blowtorch and sets Lothos' hair on fire, like his head.
That is iconic. Your story is iconic.
I'm pretty sure that's where I got that idea from.
I'm sure.
I must have.
I'm sure. Also, what a random weapon to choose to bring, but efficient. So right before she does that is when she puts a crucifix up in his face, like it's gonna do something to him, and that's where he's like, police.
It's great.
And then she torches his
and
ass.
he grabs the cross, doesn't do anything to him.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's been alive a long time.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
He has seen it all.
Yep.
So her friend Kimberly again starts freaking out about what she is seeing. And the principal's walking by, and he smashes her head into the wall.
He grabs her by the face and just
and she gets knocked unconscious. I think she goes cross-eyed.
She does. It's great. Hate her. Just hate her.
Hate her.
So Buffy runs back to the gym. So Buffy's back in the gym, and Lothos busts through a wall to come and get her. He pulls out a sword, and he tells everyone that he's gonna split them open like rotten fruit.
Yeah.
And at this point, the principal goes, "Well, that's definitely not a student."
He also tells Buffy, "You are my destiny. I could never hurt you." I'm like, you're giving real mixed signals here, Lothos.
Yes, because then he goes on to say that he's going to send her screaming into the pits of hell.
So which is it? Are you going to hurt me or not?
Yeah.
I wrote down Buffy backhand springs herself across the room to get a flagpole.
It's true.
But it was you could have just ran, girl.
I know. Actually, the reason that Buffy stops doing the flips after season 1, or maybe it might even be the first 3 episodes of season 1, is because she could just run and grab stuff. So they stopped having her do back handsprings. I like the back handsprings. If you can do that shit, do it.
It looks so cool.
Are you that's a show off move,
but I'm also
man.
You could have ran there faster.
Yeah, but it's a statement, man.
That's true.
She
was making a statement.
Lothos, I'm gonna kick your ass. See,
I wrote, she is doing the most, using the most energy.
That's right.
But Pike comes in to help.
Mm-hmm.
She gets a piece of wood broken off of a chair, and she stabs Lothos. Okay.
Yep.
And he said, "Now I'm really pissed off."
Mm-hmm. And then he chirps out, "Oops."
Oops. She does a spin kick, kicks that stake all the way in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the end of Lothos there.
Yeah, Lothos is a dunzo. And Buffy goes over to Pike, and they're checking in on each other, and it's very cute and sweet.
And he saved her the last dance.
And he did. And they start dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was you know how we always talk about people in the background saying things and you just kind of catch what they say?
Mm-hmm.
You hear a boy and he's criticizing Buffy, and then a girl says, "I don't know, I think she's kind of cool."
Okay, I didn't catch that.
I love that it was a girl saying that.
Yeah.
Right? Because imagine seeing that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, how empowering, right?
For real. That should be empowering for everyone.
Yeah, I loved it. And the music starts playing and they're slow dancing and Buffy has a little smile on her face. And
they ride off on the motorcycle.
They do. They rode off on a motorcycle, and it's a cool shot.
Yeah.
He starts the motorcycle, she jumps on the back with her little dress and the leather jacket, and they take off together.
Hell yeah.
And that's the end.
That's the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
How cute, right?
I love that movie so much. I don't think I've watched it in full since I was a kid.
I watched it last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I rewatched it last year, and I just love it so much.
There are post credits or during the credit scenes, they're showing interviews with the survivors from the dance on the news.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. They show the principal again. He's just a gem.
He's iconic.
He is.
I love him.
So the reason that I brought up Candy Clark outside of just shouting out the cameo earlier is because here, when they start the credits, there is a separate credit before the main credits even start that just say Buffy's mom is Candy Clark.
Got you.
And I was like, whoa, why did she get her own separate thing? She's fully off the screen before the rest of the credits start.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to look into her. What is the deal here?
Yeah.
I can only assume that was maybe a part of her deal for taking this role because she's an icon in horror. So she's, like I mentioned earlier, she's done The Blob, the 1988 version, Matlock, Magnum PI. I mean, not all of these are horror. Amityville 3D. So
Yeah.
I was just very interested because I've never noticed that before.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, she probably had it written into her deal that she
Probably.
wanted like a standalone credit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Good for you, girl. Get it.
Get it, girl.
They also show more of Amelin's death post credit.
Ooh,
Yeah.
he's so good. He's so good. Do you want to hear some little tidbits?
Hell do. I said hell do.
Hell do I do.
I was going to say sure do and hell yeah. You know what? Both. Hell do.
Okay, so Lothos Violin Melody is the opening from Schumann's Piano Quintet in E flat OP 44-2 in Modo de una Marcia. I probably said all of that wrong.
All of that means nothing to me, but you know what? It was nice.
I just thought it was interesting. Joss Whedon has said that he was influenced by The Lost Boys and Night of the Comet,
Okay.
which I can totally see. Night of the
Okay.
Comet for sure. Boo 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 boo. Merrick is when Merrick is trying to say the rest is silence. It's a quote from Hamlet,
Okay.
and it's a phrase that contains the dying words of Prince Hamlet.
Got it.
Very what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I thought it was
Poetic.
Yeah, poetic. Yeah, poetic, exactly. David Bowie, Mick Jagger, and Carrie Elwes were set to make cameos, but they couldn't because of budget cuts and time.
Damn.
Kind of a bummer there.
Yeah, Bowie would have been iconic.
Yeah, right? I
Wow.
know, especially like coming off of Labyrinth a few years earlier.
Oh my gosh.
The character of Emmeline was originally written to be a female, but the actress that they had playing her dropped out, so they rewrote it as
Oh.
male, and Paul Rubin replaced the actress.
Okay.
And what else here? Okay, so Paul Rubin took his wig from this film, and he has a cameo on What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show, which if you guys haven't watched, it's fantastic. And he actually like wears that wig in the show What We Do in the Shadows.
That's a more recent show, right?
It is.
Oh, so he had it just that long.
That's the information that I found.
Wow.
Right? And he also molded his vampire look after his infamous mugshot because Reubens is quoted as saying it was the coolest he's ever looked.
I love that.
And one more thing. Inside Buffy's locker in the locker room, she has like a bunch of like pictures and stuff. And one of the pictures says, "We can't all live a charmed life."
Okay.
Yeah. So those are just some little tidbits about Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Loved it.
It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a blast.
I really enjoyed rewatching it. I forgot how nostalgic this movie was for me.
Dude, it's one of the best, honestly. Like, especially as like a young girl, I feel like it was like super, super influential.
It really was. And earlier in the beginning of this episode, I said, kids are so dumb. What I meant to say was, kids are so easily impressionable. That's really what I meant by that. And by kids, I was talking about myself. But I just wanted to clarify, especially when you just said that. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that's why I really took such a liking to her as a kid.
Yeah, she's powerful. Like,
it felt like this movie was lost in my brain somewhere.
yeah, it's like one of those things that like, you know, as girls, it's like seeing a strong woman like kicking ass. Especially when you're young, you see that. It's I don't know. It had a huge influence on me. And
Yeah.
I really do credit both the movie and the TV show for giving me the strength to become a professional wrestler.
Hell yeah.
I was like, I want to be badass like Buffy.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was also in my subconscious when I decided to become a wrestler, because I definitely saw this movie before I started watching wrestling. I started
Yeah.
watching like in the Attitude Era.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So
gotcha,
this
gotcha.
would have been already living rent free in my subconscious, and then add on wrestling on top of that.
right.
And here I am today.
No, I love that so much. Yeah, great movie, so much fun. Kristy Swanson, I think, was a great Buffy. Different from the TV show, but still important in its own right, you know?
I know that she did a lot after this too, but I feel like she still should have been in more.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. to
She's
be
great.
honest. Yeah, I thought she was really good in this. She's been in a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was great as Buffy. And I loved it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening. You can check out our social media at Chainsaw Girls Pod. We also have an email. You can email us some suggestions if you want to. chainsawgirlspod@gmail.com. We also now have a Patreon. Thank you so much to our patrons for all of your support. We are at this moment going to shout out our top tier patrons.
Let's do it. We've got Rob V, Johnny Blood, David T, Heather D, Francis Driller, aka Ryan, Josh N, Millie C, Adrian G, Chris S, Alexis T, Adam VL, and James C. Thank you so much for being top tier patrons. We appreciate you so, so much.
Thank you. I was trying to give each one a different like hand gesture, and I was like, I'm running out of hand gestures.
I love the effort though.
Yes. Thank you so, so much, everyone. We love you.
Okay, bye.